Namaskaram to all and welcome to this session on Subhu's Corner of the Vande Guru Paramparam series. Over the last few sessions, we have had a number of scholars speaking on the contributions of various Vagyakaras to the field of Carnatic music, and we have also heard the ecosystem in which these Vagyakaras made these contributions. Today, we are going to touch upon a very important aspect, especially the period of the Trinity, which is referred to as the golden period of Carnatic music. One of the major contributions of that period is the evolution and the format of the Kriti form of composition. So today we are going to be discussing on the evolution of this Kriti format, and to take us through this session, we have none other than scholar and musician Dr. Radha Bhaskar ma'am with us. Ma'am, namaskaram and welcome to this session. Dr. Radha Bhaskar is a rare combination of a vocal musician, a musicologist, a teacher, a journalist, a cultural organizer, and an art critic. She holds a doctorate in music and diploma in journalism, a very rare combination indeed. She is a disciple of Padma Bhushan P.S. Narayan Swamy and has performed concerts all over India and abroad. She has given many lecture demonstrations. If you just go to YouTube and type her name, you'll find so many of those lecdems, which are there, especially during the December season. And I have personally attended to some of her lecdems as well. And she's participated in several prestigious panel discussions all over India. She is the treasurer of the cultural organization called Mudra, which under its umbrella has got a 24x7 radio and TV channel for music called Palam, and the very popular magazine Samudra. She's also been on the expert committee in the Ministry of Culture and a member of the Board of Studies of Indian Music at Madras University and Annamalai University. She has won several awards. The list is too long to even start mentioning. So, ma'am, I'm really, really happy that we have you today with us for this discussion on this very interesting topic. Once again, ma'am, welcome to this session.
Namaste.
Ma'am, as I mentioned in the introduction, we speak of this golden period of Carnatic music, especially the period of the Trinity. And one of the things which we typically hear of as a major contribution that happened, or major evolution in music that happened, is this Kriti format. And we have so many Kritis composed by the Trinity themselves. And we hear that, during the olden days, before that period, there used to be a lot of Manodharma Sangeetam because of lesser number of compositions. And with this, it just rose. So before we start with the Kriti format, ma'am, if you could just give us a bit of an overview of the different formats that we have, or different forms of musical compositions that we have in our Indian music, in our Sangeetam. If you could just give us an overview, then maybe then we can delve deeper into the evolution of the Kriti format.
Namaskaram to all of you. In fact, this is one of my pet subjects, I would say, in the sense that being a performer myself, it has been interesting to observe how so many musical forms have become encompassed as part of the kacheri itself now. But going back in the historical perspective, all of us do know that the Tevaram, Tirupugal, Divya Prabandham all have been there at a very early time. After that, we see that we have Ashtapadis, Tarangam, the Dasarpadas, and many such compositions. Of course, if you look at the repertoire of the compositional forms that we have today, we can look at it, from two perspectives. One is, of course, that what we sing as part of our practices, like all this Sarali, Janta, they can't be called compositional forms. They are basic exercises, of course.
Right.
But the Geetams, we know, are the simplest of the musical forms that have come down to us, and it helps student much in terms of getting a preliminary view of how the Sahitya, Talam, and Ragam all come together. For the first time, we see that it happens in the Geetam. Then we have the Varnam. Then, of course, the Swarajati, the Jati Swaram, the Kritis, then the Tillana, then all these Ashtabadi, all these are actually basically are the what we call as the Tukada items. Tukada means doesn't mean that it is a very trivial thing. They are also very, very become very ornamental pieces, I would say today. Then, of course,
Correct.
we have the bhajans, abangs, Tirupugal, and so many other Padam, Javali, everything has come. So that way, I would say that our Vagyakaras have been very prolific in the sense that, of course, there's also the Raga Malika, which I forgot to mention. So our composers have really not concentrated on one type of compositional form. Each composer has taken to the different ways of composing so that they are able to give us different dimensions. After all, we also understand that a composition, what is a composition first? That we have to understand. Composition is a perfect, where we see a blend of ragam, talam, and the sahitya. So how the ragam, talam, and sahityam are spread out or how they are brought out brings out different compositional forms. That is the thing. For example, in a varnam, how the ragam, sahityam, and talam come together is quite different from how it would come together in a kriti. So that way we see that that is where again we are very, very fortunate that we have had so many varieties of compositions which have come to our this thing. And in the concert also, we see that there are so many varieties of forms actually.
Correct. And ma'am, as you rightly mentioned, so you have a very different way in which the Sahityam, the Ragam, and the Talam, they come together in different formats. And they clearly differentiate themselves from the Manodharma or the earlier classification of Nibaddha, Anibaddha, that kind of classification. So Anibaddha, of course, it is an elaboration of the Ragam where the musician is trying to explore the Raga more. But when you have a composition, it is more restricted. It has got its own boundaries. It is restricted by the Tala, the Raga, and the lyrics itself.
Exactly.
But when you say this, these three aspects itself, they are combining in different forms to give different compositions. Like as you rightly mentioned, you have the Geetam, which probably is more from from the Abhyasa Gana perspective. It is there. From Varnam onwards, it starts in the Kacheri Paddhati. So you have the Varnam, you have the Kriti. So, ma'am, what do you think would have been the rationale for having so many forms? So many different forms.
First, of course, basically, if you see that if you take just the three main things like the Geetam, Varnam, and the Kriti, for example, if we take, because the other forms, like if you take the Tarangam or the Ashtapadi, they are not actually in the Kriti format. I'll come to that point later, because how these forms have come to be tailored to become a Kriti form is a very, very interesting study. That also, again, because of the concept of the Kacheri and how we want to present these forms as part of a Kacheri. Because you know that all these forms were part of the Bhajana Paddhati only, and still they are there in their original format, but how they have been modified to really become a part of the Kacheri genre is a very, very interesting study. I'll just take these three examples for you, the Geetam, the Varnam, and the Kriti, for example. Of course, we'll be discussing also about the Kriti in detail, because Kriti is such a very ambiguous word, I would say, in the sense that you know what is a Kriti, yet you don't know what a Kriti is. Still, it's like that only today. So, knowing and not knowing that it has a form and yet it doesn't seem to have a form. So that kind of unique form, again, I would say the Kriti is. In Varnam, the whole idea is where the Sahitya Bhava is not at all important. So the whole idea is to bring out the Ragam in its multi-dimensions. That is one thing. So there, where what you see is that the Gamakas or the intricacies of each note, the different layers which are there within the Ragam is the predominant aspect which has to be brought out, and that is the sole purpose. In fact, I have also mentioned before about how T.R.S. sir used to say, if you ask somebody to tell what is the lyrics of the Viriboni Varnam, Matatala Varnam, quickly you will really, blank, and you won't be able to say, because Chiru Navu Mona, Chiru Navu Momuna, that itself is spread through the whole gamut of the Talam. So, there, and again, Chiru Navu Momuna is an incomplete thing. It doesn't form a sentence also. So that also again implies that it's the whole idea is only to bring out the Raga Bhava. And of course, you also see that the Varnam composes of a lot of vowels. That is the most important thing, where the A, E, U, these kind of vowels become a part of the thing. So what happens is that why are they having so many vowels? First, I personally feel that the akara, ikara can bring out the gamaka and the facets first. Secondly, it also gives a lot of facility to the voice practice. So,
Right.
for example, that is there, and also you see that the gait of the varnam is totally different from a kriti. That we have to understand. Like to put it in a very very simple way, I would say, like varnam is like the marching of a soldier. It's got a very regulated kind of thing, whereas a kriti you can just imagine that it can be like you're walking, or you're just jogging, or you may be running, or it may be a child crawling. You can just imagine that in the sense that there is no rigid kind of a straight route of the pulsation of the rhythm in the sense. Just
Right.
one example to prove it, I can just give you an example. See, let us take the popular Mohanam Varnam itself. You see how it's I mean, imagine a straight march of a soldier. It's almost like that only, like Ninno Kavari Yonege no re when you sing it in the second speed, it's all the more obvious. Ninno Kavari so that is how it goes. But same, if you take a simple kirtan also of Dikshidhar, Gopika Manokaram Vadeham Govardhana Giridharam. So where you see that different kala pramanas also come into it. So that is one
Right.
basic thing. And secondly, of course, as I said, the Sahitya is very, very important in the Kriti because the content there, in fact, but of course, there are also different ways in which a Kriti can be classified in the sense that some have got the raga as the predominant thing, some have the Sahityam coming to the fore. Sometimes you see that the Talam or the rhythmic aspect is the most important thing. So even in the composition of Kriti, there are different focuses with which composers have done. But the basic thing, of course, I would like to again bring to the fore is that while Varnam is trying to bring out the intricacies of the ragam. And for example, another small example, if you could give, it's a very small thing, but then I find it a very big thing in the sense that if you take the Saveri Varnam, where we see Sari Ma Pada Sa is the Arohanam, all of us know. Sari Gari Gari. That is how it starts. So you may immediately ask, what is the Sariga? It is not Sariga. Sari Gari Gari. So it's a Sari is the Arohanam, Gari Gari. But there is also a subtle understanding. You have to understand that unlike Maya Malagala, where it is like Sariga, if you're going to use here, how the Shruti value gets diminished because it is part of the Avarohana. So these kind of subtle things, where the Ga, most of it hangs on the Rishika. So many, many things. In fact, the Varnam is a treasure trove that is given to us. But also I would like to add here is that composing the Varnam is very, very difficult because there are so many rules. You have so many rules in that. Whereas a Kriti is something which comes more out of an inspiration. In fact, you would see many people say that I got up in the night and then I was inspired and I composed a Kriti. So I'm sure we are going to discuss about how those kind of Kritis also work. But nevertheless, this Varnam, that's why you also see there are very few composers of Varnam. Unlike Kriti, where you have thousands and still never-endingly it's going. But then composers of Varnam, quality composers of Varnam are very few because they have bound by many rules. And you have to adhere. For example, you have to have a Pallavi, Anupallavi, Muktaiswaram. Then the Charanam, the format of the Charanam itself is very codified. You must be knowing that how the Karve is important for the first Charanam Swara, how the second Charanam Swara is, and the third one is completely without any Karve. The fourth is a summary. So these kind of there is and you can't change the form like in the Kriti. There are so many varieties you have in terms of the structure. Here the structure is almost and rigid, and it's very interesting. From the time the Varnam started being composed till today, even now the latest popular composers of like Lalgudi Jayaraman, Balamurali Krishna, they may have used new ragas, but then the format is something they have kept intact. So that way, that is the thing. Kriti gives a lot of room for much more of creativity. But the Kriti, as we know today, in terms of looking at the format of Tyagaraja, probably is from the time of the Trinity. But then, if you go back, Annamacharya and other people, composers have also composed. They didn't call it the Kriti or the Kirtana. Probably the name was not there, but the idea or the seeds for it were sown earlier itself. For example, when you see Annamacharya, the Pallavi and multiple, the kind of charanas were there. So it is not that anything operates in vacuum, that you have to understand. Nobody just out of the blue, it doesn't happen. So it has to evolve through many things, and the inspiration comes from somewhere. Then you develop on it. That's how it works.
Correct.
And the greatest inspiration for Kriti, of course, is the time of the Trinity. So after that, people have followed that format. Now again, it's a question of the survival of the fittest and what works well. So among the three, I always say that Tyagaraja's format was one of the which clicked very well with the people. So that's why you also see that later composers have mostly followed the style of Tyagaraja.
From your understanding and whatever you have seen, when was the first time this concept of a Kriti, as you rightly said, there have been the Sankirtanas, as they call it, or the Padams of Annamaya, of Bhadrachala Ramdasa. He has composed a few compositions. So the Purandara Dasa, Dasar Namas. So these all have been given specific names, but they all have been sort of expressions where lyrics have been given a lot of importance, as you rightly mentioned also. So why or how is what is the difference when it came to the compositions of the Trinity, when it started being called as a Kriti format? Was there any distinction significant between the earlier compositions and this composition that it gave a special status to it?
Interestingly, we see that even in Subbarama Dikshidhar has not mentioned the word Kriti actually. He uses only Kirtana. So, and but of course, he has codified the kind of rules that have to be there for composing a Kirtana. For example, he says that the Sahitya has to be in praise of deity. It should have a Pallavi, Anupallavi, Charanam. If there are multiple Charanams, then the Charanam should have the repetitive tune of the first Charana, what is there. If there is a Madhyamagala Sahityam, it can be incorporated. But the basic terminology of Kirtana, Kriti, I think came much later in the time of Sri Sambamurti only. And he being a musicologist who brought out so many books, you know, that South Indian music book from 1 to 6, 7, it kept the volumes. So there only we see that he has tried to make a demarcation between Kriti and Kirtana. But still today I would say that the term is very much ambiguous in the sense that we use, for the same set of composition, we use the word Kriti also, we use the word Kirtan also. Classic example I can give is Pancharatnam. Pancharatna Kriti we say, Pancharatna Kirtana we say. But if you look more in a general way, Kriti means anything that is composed. Kriti by itself does not mean a form. Kriti, when you use it in a general way, it is just something which is composed. But in the context of the Carnatic music composition, it has come to mean a particular form. Probably we can, from what Sambamurti says, we can draw some kind of difference between the Kriti and Kirtana. But then if I take a composition and ask you whether this is a Kirtana or Kriti, it's a very difficult thing. You know, it's a hairline kind of, you know, the difference between the two is sometimes very, very subtle. So, for example, if he says that in a Kriti, he says that the Kirtana is older than the Kriti. That is one thing he has mentioned. Then he says that Kirtana, the tunes of all the sections are repetitive, whereas Kriti is one which has a Pallavi, Anupallavi, Charanam. But then if you take a composition and say that it has to be very intricate, it has to have a lot of Sangatis and all. In that, the next question, if a song like Banturiti or Brova Bharama, what classification it can be, whether it is a Kriti or Kirtana, is again a question. So, I mean, roughly we are able to make a definition here. But again, if you look interestingly in the case of Tyagaraja, though the most popular format of a Kriti that he has composed is, as we all know, a Pallavi, Anupallavi, Charanam. And of course, the tune of the Anupallavi getting repeated verbatim in the latter part of the Charanam. That you would have observed in many cases. That is, in fact, most of the composition, whether it's a Rendikale or Orukale, you would see that in his case, this format of the Anupallavi's tune getting repeated in the Charanam is something which he devised. And that caught on very well with later composers also, Padnam Subramanian, Mysore Vasudevacharya. You see, many composers who came later, they adopted this format very conveniently.
Right.
In this, I also, in the sense that here, it is a different structure. But then, if you look at the compositions like Eti Janma Media in Varali, you see that Pallavi, Anupallavi, multiple charanas are there. Now, it's very, very interesting also to note that how the composer has composed and how we are using it as a part of the concert. That's a very interesting study, in the sense that there are so many compositions where many of even the performers do not know that there are 3 charanas or 4 charanas actually, because they learn only one charana. Here again, the point is that though probably Tyagaraja composed it with the Sahitya in his mind as a predominant thing, we as performers, for us, the melody becomes the predominant or the primary thing. That is the point. So what we do is, if there are 3 charanas, they may be full of Sahitya Bhava. But then we never sing. For example, if you take the Swararaga Sudha, of his composition, there are 3 charanas, but I don't know how many, except Mooladhara, we don't even know what are the other charanas. So where the point is that we are actually crafting the whole composition in a way that suits our kacheri. So when you are, and it also implies the fact that for a concert performer, the melody is more important than the Sahitya. So that is why in Shama Sastri, being a musician, you know, so many compositions have got 3 charanas. But where do you hear 3 charanas as parts of the concept? So again, the point is about how the composer is viewing his kirtana or kriti to how a performer is viewing it. And of course, the second point, of course, is how another aspect is through the development of music, a particular composition is again crafted with so much of Sankati, so much of brigas, and so many other things to show our virtuosity. So again, when you are making it a concert piece, the kriti or kirtana, I mean, though you may say that the form or the structure is same, internally there are so many things happening which really change its structure. So if you look at what was there in the Sangeeta Sampradaya Pratishti, what the notation of what Dikshidhar composition to what it has today, has really traveled a very long way, I would say. Sometimes I'm sure the composer himself may not be able to recognize his composition. To that extent, we have been putting so much of Sangati and Briga and all that thing. Whether that is necessary or not, that's a different subject.
Right.